Sports Talk Chicago. Here with Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's an award-winning comedian, host of the Packast on YouTube, and the head of the Grossi Posse. Please welcome Tom Grossi to the program. Tom, it's great to have you on. How are you?
John, thank you. I think that's the first time I've been referred to as award-winning. I mean, technically, I won a comedy contest one time, so I guess it's technically the facts, but it makes me sound so much better than I actually am.
So, Tom, let's start with the NFC North, more specifically the Bears. Are they doomed this year in this division?
I don't want to say they're doomed. I think the big, when you guys drafted Tevin Jenkins, I was like, oh, because I wanted him so bad, because that guy is just a mauler on the line. I'm like, he's going to make that offensive line look so much better. He gets hurt, which is honestly just a shame because I wanted to see him play. And I don't think you're doomed. I think putting Andy Dalton out there as the sacrificial lamb is a good move, just because maybe then the offensive line could get better as the season goes on, or it tells Matt Nagy, oh, I shouldn't put my rookie QB behind that line. But I think, you have Mooney, you have Allen Robinson, David Montgomery. When all utilized correctly, it could be a functioning offense. And then the defense, though, the secondary I think is not going to be as good as it was in previous years. You still have a great pass rush. So I think the Bears will still be competitive. I think it's just going to be a matter of after week 6, who's going to be your QB and trying to deal with that.
You like the idea that Fields is sitting?
I love that. Listen, I'm still of that old school mentality. Let him sit. I understand that now. The goal is you win a Super Bowl on your QB's rookie contract, right? That's what they do with Patrick Mahomes. That's the model now that the NFL goes by, because it's so difficult. Once you have to pay big money to that franchise QB, not as much can go around anymore. So I think with the Bears, they're in a position where they're playing Andy Dalton $10 million. Justin Fields obviously on his rookie deal. So there is a window. It's not necessarily the offense, though. It's the defense window. That you're all right, we got 5 years, if Fields, pans out, that to try and make this thing happen.
Well, and I've heard the fear too that, ironically enough, it's going to be the defense that could let this Bears team down with Justin Fields developing. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, you guys got Quinn, what was that, last year, and he didn't really do a whole lot for you guys. But, Fuller going as well, which was a little surprising to me. Obviously you got guys like Eddie Jackson still back there, and they're still going to be, amazing. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the defense takes a step back. I mean, I think, you obviously have Khalil Mack back there still across the line. You do have some great players along that line. So I think your pass rush should still be solid, if anything. And I think it's almost similar to what the Cardinals are doing, right? You build up that pass rush. And they're all right, well, we can forget about the secondary for a while, just because if the pass rush is so good, that kind of makes up for a developing or a younger or inexperienced secondary. And obviously, again, you have Eddie Jackson back there. But, if you're able to get that pass rush going, then you should still be, at least efficient.
Tom Grossi here on Sports Talk Chicago. Tom, is Matt Nagy the right coach for this team?
As a Packers fan, yes.
Come on, objectively. I know it works for you, but
it works for me.
Fans watching.
That's a great question, because I feel like when things go wrong, right, the head coach is usually the first person to blame, and that's just the way that the league works. It's the way that the fan base was work, etc. However, when it comes to Matt Nagy, I think his experience, if you will, with play calling and not setting up players to be successful. And what I mean by that is you take a guy like Mitch Trubisky, right? So Trubisky, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Likely not, right? Not going to happen. However, Mitch Trubisky could scramble, right? He was pretty good on his feet, and he needed a strong running game. When you guys went into the playoffs and won the North that year, that was based off a really strong running game. Mitch Trubisky should never have been the sole focus of that offense. And instead, I know that he was developing, they weren't having designed runs for him. And again, it's a matter of, if you're a coach, you are trying to put the players with their skill set, because they're on your team, right, in the most, I guess, efficient, successful positions possible. And that's it. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. David Montgomery's a good running back. He's a real good running back. And like, why are you not? I know they did a lot more last year, but like 2 years ago, why are you not running the ball like all the time? And I think, with the offensive line, there's that obviously plays a role in that as well, that, that didn't make things easy for that offense. But I think when it comes to Matt Nagy, do you trust him with a brand new franchise QB? I don't know if he's done enough to kind of earn that trust.
What do you think he does to Justin Fields? Is it more of a positive or a negative at the end of the day, Nagy's impact on Fields?
I honestly think it's not even going to be on Nagy. I think it's honestly going to be on the development of that offensive line, because I think if you're Matt Nagy and you see Andy Dalton getting like destroyed out there every week, you don't put him in there. Like you feel, buddy, enjoy that clipboard, because that's where you sit, or you go when it's a blowout or something like that, just because the risk reward ratio is so off. It's opportunity cost, right? So I think that it's going to be a matter of, if Andy Dalton struggles come week 4, 5, 6, why is he struggling? Is it because he's not making the throws? Is it because he has no time to make the throws? Is it the play calling? I think it's a matter of, are you willing to do what's best for the franchise in the long term, which might not even include him in it, but are you willing to do that to make sure that Justin Fields is the most set up for success? Because I think out of the new quarterbacks that are coming through in the North, and Jordan Love, Kellen Mond, and of course, Justin Fields, I think Fields has all the talent in the world, right? The fact that he fell to you guys is gross. But the fact that like you see it, like you're like, oh, okay, I see why. And obviously it's just preseason, but I think he has a lot of talent, and it's just a matter of, can you preserve that talent so he doesn't learn those bad tendencies of, oh God, I'm going to get murdered every single time I take a snap. I think that's going to be really important for a developing young QB.
Do you think he's the best out of that group of Mond, Love, and then Fields? Is he the best out of those three?
I mean, again, it's impossible to tell because we've never seen any of them take an actual NFL snap before. I think that Jordan Love is in the best place possible because re-signed David Bakhtiari, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. He basically has it all in what he needs to be successful. It's a young offensive line, guys like Elton Jenkins, etc. So I think that he's in the best opportunity to be successful. I think Justin Fields has a very high ceiling based off of his talent. So again, it's just going to be a matter of, how is he utilized and is he put in a place to be successful?
How far do you think the Bears go this year? Regardless of the quarterback thing, just overall prediction, where do you think they go? How many games do they win?
I mean, looking at we have a hell of a schedule this year. We're going up against the NFC West, which is arguably, in my opinion, the best division in football. Like, because you could have, the Cardinals are like the favorites to lose that division, and they're still a good team. Like, they still on paper look really, really good. So I think the North is going to have a time this season. If I'm the Bears, again, omitting the QB conversation, with the struggling offensive line, you still have some weapons, though. Defensive line should still be pretty good. I look at you maybe competing for like the 7th seed like you did last year. Maybe you have a game on Nickelodeon again. But it's a matter of, I think it's going to kind of be like one of those middle of the road years, unless Justin Fields comes out and just starts swinging and, he's starting by week 4 and he's the guy, which is always possible.
Tom Grossi here on Sports Talk Chicago. Tom, let's talk Packers now. How relieving was Aaron Rodgers' return?
Buddy, this offseason, it aged me significantly. Like, I didn't have too many gray hairs, but now it's there. A relief. Yeah, because the thing is I had the moronic idea that I was going to enjoy this year's draft, because after last season with Jordan Love and all that, I was like, you know what? We're going to go into this year. It's draft day. It's going to be so nice. It's going to be relaxing. We're just going to get all these weapons or what have you. And Adam Schefter decided to tear my heart out and stomp on it. So yeah, that it was a relief to say the least. And I know that the narrative this year is like the last dance and things like that. So I have to say, if this is the last year with Aaron Rodgers, which it's looking like it's going to be, like, I'm glad I know that ahead of time, because now I can really savor this season. So, like, regardless of what happens, I'm still watching Aaron Rodgers, maybe for the last time in a Packers uniform. So, because if he left after last season, it would have just felt like, oh, that's how it's going to come to an end, like another NFC Championship loss. So, yeah, we're gonna try it one more time.
How prepared are the Packers for when Rodgers leaves? Like, is Jordan Love the guy, do you think?
Again, I think we've put him with Matt LaFleur, who is a phenomenal coach. He works with QBs very, very closely, helped develop guys like Matt Ryan and had an MVP year. He's kind of done it all. You have a left tackle in Dave Bakhtiari, who's one of the best in the league. He signed up for the next few years under contract. You have Elton Jenkins, who's going to get all the money because he can play every single position along the offensive line. So you have a developing offensive line. The concern, I think, comes with wide receiver because technically after this year, Amari Rodgers is the one who we just drafted, is the only wide receiver that's probably going to be around, definitely, because Alan Lazard, MVS, they are all in contract years. Funchess is no longer on the team. EQ is no longer on the team. He's on the practice squad. And then you have Randall Cobb, who is most likely not going to be here after next year, regardless of what his contract says. So I think he's in a great position to be successful. Do I think that there's going to be a learning curve? And do I think that there might be a couple of down years? Absolutely. But you also have Aaron Jones on the team. You have AJ Dillon, who's on his rookie deal. You have the pieces. You have tight ends. So I think that there's a lot of pieces for him to walk in and at least be able to find some success early on. And I think what you saw, because this is the first time we actually saw Jordan Love play, what you saw in the preseason is that of a rookie QB, right? The Bills game is a perfect example of that. It's back-to-back plays. He makes an incredible, like, off-the-cuff, on-the-run throw, and you're like, oh, man, that's why he's a first-round pick. And then the next one, Josh Myers trips him up, and he's just like, I'm going to launch it. Hopefully someone's there, and throws an interception. So I think what you see is a raw rookie QB. You see those flashes of the first-round talent. But as you know, like, drafting a QB in the first round ain't no guarantee. So
how important is the run game? You mentioned Jones. I think that'll be a good component to help develop Love.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that, we had Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, and I love Jamal Williams to death now, and unfortunately, the land of misery, which is Detroit. You have, I think, AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, having both of them, especially Aaron Jones, even in the passing game, I think it's so easy because it takes just such a load off of, a young QB's shoulders. And that's what I was talking about Trubisky. When you guys were successful, you had a great running game. Like, that was it. Because it was like, oh, I don't have to throw every single play. Right. And when you don't have that running back, I know there's like that thought around the league, if you don't pay running backs second contracts and blah, 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 which there's some validity to that. But I think at the end of the day, it really takes some of the pressure off, because if you have no running game to work with, you better have a damn good QB.
What do you expect out of him this year with Rodgers then?
To keep that bench real warm, and to get that right knee ready for when he's kneeling it at the end of the game. So, like Tim Boyle's thing. But that's the thing. I have zero expectations for Jordan Love. And I think that that's what it should be, because Jordan Love, God forbid Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. That's the only thing, unless it's a blowout or anything like that. I don't want to see a lot of Jordan Love, because that's not what this season's for, right? Jordan Love is again, learn. I'm very okay with him sitting. I know it cuts into his rookie deal. And, technically, even if Rodgers leaves, we're only going to see 3 years of Jordan Love before he's going to have to get extended. But I'd rather them not rush into it and just take their time. And you're learning behind one of the best to ever play the game. So if he's not successful, it won't be because of the Packers.
Are the Packers a Super Bowl contender this year?
Absolutely. I think they are one. The schedule is definitely harder. I think we're playing 9 playoff teams from last year. As I said before, like going against the West, the 49ers, who are going to be back. The Rams, I think, are Super Bowl contenders. The Seahawks are the Seahawks. But I think that, of course, you have the Buccaneers and all that great stuff. I think that there's some really good teams in the NFC this year. The NFC East shouldn't be as much of a dumpster fire as it was last year. But I think that they are definitely Super Bowl contenders. And that's not like the homerism or bias. And I think it's just a matter of, you look at what they put together last year. They were the number 1 scoring offense. What changed on the offense? All pro Corey Linsley, our center, gone, but we replace him with Josh Myers. So if he's able to just be decent, that's solid. And then Jamal Williams leaving, and you replace him with AJ Dillon, who's coming into his second year, who I think will be even more productive. So the offense hasn't really changed. It's really around that offensive line. Bakhtiari being out for the first 6 weeks definitely hurts, but we've won without David Bakhtiari before. So I think that as long as that O-line, that's what it's really going to come down to. As long as that O-line is solid this year and no injuries, the offense should be able to continue to rock and roll. And then on the defensive side, we didn't lose anybody, even Kevin King. we brought Kevin King back too. But you added TJ Slayton, the big guy from Florida. You got Joe Barry to come in and hopefully make those linebackers better. Of course, you have Eric Stokes, our first round pick for corner. So I think it's just a matter of we have added pieces and the team shouldn't, there really shouldn't be any regression if the offensive line is able to hold. So I think that they should be just as good, if not better. It might not be reflective in the record. Like, I don't expect to go 13-3 3 years in a row. Well, we can't technically now, but yeah, I think that they are definitely Super Bowl contenders. It's a matter of just finishing strong.
Are they good enough to beat Tampa?
I mean, taking a look at that Tampa defense from Thursday, it's week 1. So again, we can't make these assumptions and biases just after week 1. But I mean, I think they can. That's kind of the benchmark, right? Like Tampa is the benchmark. They brought back everybody. They have so many weapons on that offense, and their defense is really good. But that secondary, I mean, Dak threw for over 400 yards. Again, it's week 1. It's week 1. We can't judge yet, but I think that they can, because I think last year, if you have David Bakhtiari, it's a different game, because Billy Turner was over there and got demolished all game, and Rodgers had no time to throw. So I think that, you change a couple plays in there, like Kevin King, not giving up a touchdown to Scotty Miller. I think the Packers potentially win that game. I don't know if they'll get home field advantage again this year, because it's a stacked NFC, but I think they have what it takes to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Let me ask you this. If they win the Super Bowl, what do you plan on doing to celebrate?
Honestly, it's going to just be a relief. I mean, when I became a fan, I was 6. And so I missed the Super Bowl 31 victory by a year. I came and they lost the Super Bowl the year I became a fan. And then I didn't see it till college, in which college we had a grand old time. In New York, though, nobody was a Packers fan, but I ran around. It was great. It was wonderful. If they win, it's going to be just pure relief, because 4 NFC championship games in the past decade, and it's just heartbreaking. So I think it's just going to be a matter of a lot of screaming, a lot of partying, and just a whole lot of relief. Like there's that picture during the run the table season where Rodgers just like collapsed in like his locker room and just like collapsed. That's how I feel. Cause I feel like for the fans, it's like, we had the Bucs win it, and they went for a much longer time, but I think that would be like the perfect way to like close the Aaron Rodgers saga in Green Bay. It would be really weird to trade him after that, but that's neither here nor there.
Tom Grossi, still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Tom, I wanted to also talk about your career for a moment too. What prompted your start on YouTube?
Yeah, so the first thing that actually started was not even YouTube. It was I just started the podcast, Packast, after the year that the Packers lost the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks, because that game was just everything just went wrong. Like everything that could have possibly went wrong, and it was so many things. So I made a fake reaction video to that, it was really therapeutic, if anything, just like going through and just being like, oh, like they won't get the onside kick. They got the onside kick. Oh, they'll stop Marshall. Oh, and so I put that out there. They got like 65,000 views. This is back in 2015. And all these Packer fans were like, thank you so much. Like this felt so good to get out. And I was like, oh, okay. Like this was pretty cool. So I started the podcast that August. And for the first year and a half, it was just kind of basically on like SoundCloud and Apple Music at that point, like iTunes and stuff. And then I just started putting more and more stuff on YouTube. And as time went on, I was like, you know what, I probably would get more traction on YouTube. So we went away from just audio, went to the visual part of it as well. And it's just been crazy ever since. And so 2018 was like a big year, went on Sunday Night Football. And then 2019, since August of 2019, I put out content at least Monday through Friday.
How'd you find a way to merge your comedy roots with your Packer fandom? I mean, that's a pretty unique thing about your channel.
It's a niche. It's a niche. Well, I think it's a couple things. I think the thing that really helped the channel blow up is 2 things. One were the reaction videos, where now I've done every single team for the past, I think 3 years at this point. So all 32 teams, they get a reaction. So I think and that's the thing too, like the way I do research for that is like, I go into like their subreddits, their message boards to be like, what happened during the season? How did like people react to it? Cause I want to get it as close as humanly possible. Right. I mean, the Lions are easy. It's just like, F the Packers, and that's easy, but, and that's basically for the Bears and the Vikings too. But, in terms of like the comedy, I think it's like that simple approach to sports, because, you could go and you can listen to somebody who's much better than I am talk about like analytics and talk about schemes and talk and listen, like I'm not the guy to talk about that. Like I can look at somebody's tape and I will give you my opinion and I will do all the research I possibly can. I'll give you like my takes on it and we can get really analytical, but that's not where my forefront is. And I think that the reaction videos are kind of that way of like blending that comedy aspect of it with that football aspect. And I think the second biggest thing that helped the channel were the streams. So like live streaming the games, no audio, no visual. Don't worry, NFL, don't copyright me. But it's a matter of, it's basically like watching a game like with another fan. And I think that that's a big thing that helped because it's a matter of, hey, I don't want to listen to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I don't want, no offense, but some of the commentators are not great. And I think that this just offers an alternative because I think nowadays a lot of the audience, like they want somebody to be biased, right? Like you're watching, a Packers Bears game. You're like, no, I'm rooting for the Packers. Like I want to watch someone who's like, yeah, not, that's another first down, like monotone, like, with no expression whatsoever. So I think it's just kind of that desire. And I've been able to I have an improv background. So when something happens, it's pretty easy just to adapt to the situation. So I think it's just kind of taking it. And we've obviously expanded more than just the Packers now. We talk a lot about NFL. It'll still be Packers centric. But yeah, I think it's just been real fun finding that blend. And it's just like my humor, which is not for everybody. But the people who kind of show up, they seem to enjoy it. And we keep on rocking.
What should viewers expect for this upcoming season from the channel?
Oh, so much content. There's new shows that are coming in. We're gonna be streaming more than ever because this is the first time that I'm actually doing this and only this full time. So like that's a nice relief because I was working 100-hour weeks between full-time teaching and full-time doing this for the past 2 years. So now it's just a matter of, there's gonna be stuff 6 days a week, and it's gonna be a lot, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm really excited to do new shows, to kind of just really sink a lot of time and effort into this and just grow it as much as I possibly can.
Tom, before we finish up today, last question: why'd you react the way you did to the Jordan Love pick?
What do you mean, John? You mean screaming into a pile of clothes? Which, of course, if there's a video that's going to hit 1 million views first, of course it has to be that one. So that's the thing. As I've said multiple times, it's not Jordan Love himself. I think he was talented, and I actually didn't even hate the Packers choosing him. What was frustrating was the fact that we traded down for him, and there was other guys available. And like you hear me in there, like I'm talking about Patrick Queen, for example. At that point, Denzel Mims, what it looks like we might have dodged a bullet on that one. But I think that it was just a matter, we just went to the NFC Championship game. Like we should get something to help this team like right now. And like that, and you looked at that draft, for me, in the beginning, I was like, what the heck is going on? Because you have Jordan Love, then you have AJ Dillon. We already have a running back in Aaron Jones, which makes sense because, again, he was in a contract year and we didn't know if we were going to pay him again, whatever. Josiah DeGuara, we just drafted Jay Sternberger, so that's a tight end. And I'm like sitting there looking, I'm like, well, I don't know what's happening right now. It's seemingly a draft for the future, but they did get some guys that are going to wind up helping. I think DeGuara is going to be really good, and I think Dillon's going to be really good to help like this team win right now. But I think at the end of the day, it was just there seemed to be more gaping needs. So I think that the initial reaction was like, why are we going on QB now? Like if they got Jordan Love in the second, I'm like, there's no screaming close. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But it was the trading down and grabbing him that I was like, oh, okay, this is happening now. And I knew the storm that was about to be set off, and it was correct because there was a storm.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining me. Really a pleasure to have you on. Best wishes, of course, with the channel coming up, and hopefully we can do this again soon. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, John. Have a fantastic rest of your day.